Hello and welcome to Finger Thinking, a channel dedicated to analog productivity and creativity tools. Okay, so today we are going to do a review of the Amazon Basics Daily Planner and Journal. So this is part of the Amazon Basics range. I assume it's available everywhere. So I know the Amazon Basics range launched in the US and then has started to add things progressively to the catalogue over here. So I would imagine that by now Amazon stores around the world all have this on their websites. But yeah, so it's a very basic planner, hence the Amazon Basics name. It normally costs $15.90 Australian. I didn't pay that. I, of course, got it on sale when it was $9.90 Australian. So I think that's probably just over $6 US. So I certainly, if I ever bought this again, it's on sale all the time. I bought this a few months ago in the 2024 Amazon Prime Day sales in November. But yeah, Amazon has sales all the time. So if you wanted to buy it, you wouldn't pay full price. You'd wait 2 weeks for it to be discounted for some reason. Okay, but yeah, but $10 for what you get. It's actually a pretty decent price, I have to say. So tick to Amazon for that. Now, being part of the Basics range, it means there are parts of it that are basic. So the first kind of obvious basic option is that it only comes in black. So, which is fine, because if it only came in one color, I think most people would be happy with black. There's nothing written on the spine, so I've just written the date range on the spine for my purposes. It does come with an elastic enclosure, So, but I don't tend to use this. I always find they stretch out anyway, so it just sits there. Now, the cover it's just kind of polyurethane. It's very thin. It feels all right when it's straight out of the box. It certainly is not as nice as some of kind of just the other kind of fake leather journals that you get around. So if you compare this to, say, a Moleskine or something like that, it won't be as nice. In fact, I will actually get out a Moleskine, just a second. Okay, so this is a Moleskine A5-ish 2022 planner, so we won't go through it, but just looking at the covers, this is, well, it's shinier. They have very different finishes. This is kind of, I don't know how to describe a matte feel. They feel a little bit different. This one feels like it is a little tackier without being sticky. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I think the Moleskine is nicer, so that's part of the Basics range. And the other thing that I have noticed on this one is it just, I don't know, it just picks up stuff like surface dirt or something really, really easily. So you know how, like, when you get your mouse and you turn your mouse upside down and the little pads just have all that crud on them? This seems to do the same thing. It just seems to pick up dirt, which means it's actually not the prettiest thing to look at if you turn it upside down. Whereas the Moleskine, this hasn't been kicking around on the desk as much, but it's still just in better nick in general. So yeah, so you can see the difference, but these are kind of $40 or $50 and this was $10. So that's probably the first obvious you get what you pay for difference. Okay, but apart from the cover, so you open it up and it's just, it's got like the card inside that covers this. I haven't used this like as a commuter book, like kicking around in a backpack. I suspect that this would probably wear quite easy and look a little ratty after a while, but it's a hard cover, and that's certainly not the hardest cover if I get the Moleskine back out. That is a much thicker cover than this one. I don't think the slightly thinner cover is going to be an issue. Now, if we just have a look at the other features of it before I start going through the diary, there are 3 ribbons. So they have nicely, these are all cut flat, and I think they've been cut with heated scissors because, or just like a heated blade, because they're not fraying. Unlike, and I do just have off camera, kind of this Rodeo Gold book that I did a review of a couple of months ago. This is way more expensive than this one. It does feel a lot nicer, by the way. But the ribbons, I wasn't a fan of the ribbons. Even though they cut them on the bias, so on an angle, they're still fraying. So I thought non-fray ribbons was actually a nice touch. And I do like that there's 3 of them. And I think that's probably because there are kind of 3 sections to this planner that we'll get to in a moment. Okay, so opening up the planner, the first page is a personal information page. Now, I haven't filled this out. I don't need to. It's not going anywhere. I know all this information. But this sort of page just strikes me as a bit of a hangover from the 20th century, where if you wrote all your information down, like in the front of your Filofax, and someone found it, then you weren't about to suddenly have your identity stolen. Someone would just return your planner to you. Whereas nowadays, if someone finds it, you have no idea what's going to end up with your information. So I'd be really reluctant to fill this out, but nonetheless, it's there should you want it. So the next page, there is just a double page spread of telephones and addresses. Should you want to write them down, I've just noticed there's a typo. So like name, address, homework, fax, mobile. That's hilarious. So they don't spell mobile right. And that kind of makes me wonder, is this for the Australian market? I know the US tends to call mobile phones cell phones. And so I would have expected that to say cell if this was in America. I don't know, I don't have the American version. So if you do have the American version, drop me a comment and let me know what you think. So yeah, okay, mobile, that's hilarious. All right, I haven't filled this in because I don't need to. Okay, so the next part, we start getting into the planner part of the journal. So what we have is, because this is a 6-month journal, we have 6 months to review double page spreads. So through to June, we all know, we know what the first 6 months of the year are, but it means that you can start this at any time. And so obviously if you start this halfway through a month, you don't have like a spare 7th month spread, but anyway, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Because the planner is undated, I don't know if I've mentioned that, it is definitely an undated planner. Now that is good because you can just buy it at any time and use it at any time. And if you have like a new project or something that you might be starting, I decided to do a review of this because I'm going to start a new job soon. So I thought, rightio, new job, I'll kind of file the notebooks from the old job, get out some notebooks for the new job. What sort of planner do I want? Do I want to order another one of these for that job? So hence me going, oh, I should do a review of it. So look, I quite like the way that this is laid out. I do think it's quite practical. I haven't used it. That's not the book's fault. That's my fault. But one of my big complaints about the Rodeo Gold book was, even though it's called a gold book, there is nothing in this book that even mentions goals. It's ridiculous. It's just 240 pages of grid notebook. It's crazy, with a calendar at the front. So yes, I thought this was quite the misnomer. And if you're curious to see my thoughts on this book, my review will be linked up here. But this is the sort of layout I expected to see in a book called a goal book. So it does have this month's goal. You can do your review at the end of the month, so achievements, lessons learned. You've got a few notes down here. So I think this is actually a pretty good spread. The only thing is that to try and get enough days in the month. So for example, if you're in, say, a March, and March, so March did actually, I'm just put to March, start on a Saturday. So to get enough squares on the page so you could number all of them, it does have, so you start here and then you kind of get all the way through. They had to make these squares half height, as opposed to, like, and they may or may not be a Sunday. No, they're not. Well, so Sunday here and half height on the Monday. Again, that's just trying to work with what they've got, I think. I don't think it's a deal breaker, just something to be aware of. Now, yeah, so the month view is pretty standard. So you do have to go through and number all the days yourself. It doesn't take long. Do that whilst watching TV or something. Or YouTube videos. You could number this whilst watching finger thinking videos on YouTube, which makes me think of it. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. And yeah, it really helps the channel and it helps me continue getting these reviews out to you guys. Okay, so the next 26 double pages are a week to review double page spread. So I haven't used this. Again, this is not because it's not good. I actually really like it. I've just not been disciplined enough to record everything in this section of the book. So if I just zoom in, so we have over here, we have the review of last week. I quite like this. I do like the fact that it kind of prompts you to just continue to flow what you're aspiring to achieve. So I like that. And if you're someone who is into kind of continuous improvement and getting better at things, this is great. What did I achieve last week? Okay, how can I improve that this week? Then we have down the bottom of the page, we have this week, we have priorities, habits to learn, and notes. Habits to learn. Oh, look, there's always going to be some title in these things where you go, okay, I don't know if that's useful to me, but you don't have to write in habits to learn. You can change that to be whatever you want. But there's a space for you to track something here. All right, on the other page, so there is a spot for 4 big goals, and then it gives you kind of these steps. And that's one of the issues, that if anyone's set out to achieve things, and if you're like me, I do spend either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day each year kind of reviewing last year and putting together what I want to achieve for the year that's coming. And then it's all great to have this list of goals, but it's really easy to just not get them done because you haven't actually broken down how you're going to achieve that goal. You just have like these big flags on the hill, but you haven't navigated how to get there. So I do like this. It does give you kind of space for 5 steps. Or you could write smaller and make more. Again, it's completely up to you how you use this space, but it's just good to have that prompt. And then down the bottom of the page, there is a section that says projects. Again, probably a box that you can name whatever you want. All right. Okay, so we have 6 months, so 26 double page spreads of this. And look, it's probably a good time to mention why I think there are 3 ribbons, right? So there are 3 ribbons because it means that you can just have 1 ribbon at the front and go, rightio, well, okay, January, this is when I want to look at my month view, and then 1 ribbon for where we're up to during the year, and then 1 ribbon for, where's a bit that, the week that we're in, so 1 ribbon for here. So this does have my personal information in it, so I want to find like spreads that I haven't used. Okay, so yeah, anyway, so after 26 weeks of 2 pages for a week view, we get into the day-by-day view. Okay, so if we just zoom in, we start the page with the day and date that you get to write in yourself. So yes, this is set up for, there are 184 single pages for you, but if you write down every day and then don't use them, which is clearly what I've done here, that's fine. But if you aren't going to use every day and you just want to write down the day that you're recording entries, then you can do that too. You have the flexibility to make this journal last even longer. So the first section, goal for today, I think that's a pretty good way to start your day, understanding what you want to achieve. And then further down, you can set your priorities. So that's, if you're into kind of success and productivity tips, that's certainly one that a lot of the most successful people in the world use, is have their 3 key things that they are going to get done no matter what before they go to bed. And you get a bonus 4th one if you want it. So that, I like that column. With the schedule, again, you can use it as a schedule, or even I often use mine as a to-do list. So sure, I have my priorities, but if there's other things that I need to do, I can write them down and then I can tick it off. I like the little tick boxes, check boxes, and then at the bottom there is a section for the end of day review where you can write down what you achieve and then ways to improve. Again, writing down the day's achievements, this is really good, and you can write down like, yay, go me, I did XYZ, or you can just kind of write down a summary of what happened for the day and keep it brief because it's not a big box. And then ways to improve, again, you don't have to use it for ways to improve. You can make your list of today's achievements 2 boxes long, you can use it for something else, completely up to you. They've just nicely created a box that you can just glance at a page and go, I know where that information is. Okay, and so that's basically it for the planner, right? So there's stuff, I've used a lot of it in here. I'm only writing the days out as I go. I am writing every day out because I got off to a bit of a slow start using this planner at the beginning of the year, but there is now stuff that I do track every day. So that's great, 184 pages of this, and then suddenly at the end, there are there's 3 notes pages, and that's probably more just to get it round to the sort of numbers that they need for binding, because generally they need multiples of 4 pages when they're making books. So yeah, so that's it. So none of these pages are numbered, but I suppose that's not necessary because you are busy doing it by date. So yeah, I actually think the set out of this planner is really good. I really like it. And then when we get to the bottom, we have the obligatory A5 pocket, just a little pocket in here, expandable pocket, which I don't typically use these, but lots of people do. Okay, so now I think I'll just go over a few things about this that I don't like. I do like the layout, so we've just covered all that. Big fan of how they've kind of put it together, and it's certainly a layout that, if you take it seriously, can absolutely help you kind of get to where you want to go. It does force you to think through things. But there are a couple of things I do need to point out. The big one being the paper. I think the paper is awful if you are a fan of fountain pens. If you're just a fan of a good old biro, then okay, you'll find the paper just fine. Amazon advertises the paper as sturdy paper that can be written on in pencil, ink, or permanent marker without bleeding. I've got a few pens here that will just check those claims. So what I have is a few fountain pens. I have a few kind of gel pens, and I have a few just fine liners in the same colours, different brands, Staedtler and Bic. And so I'll just write with these, and just so you can see whether they bleed, whether they ghost, that sort of stuff, right? So we'll just do a check now. We'll start with the gel liners. Okay. Now with the fountain pens, I actually will kind of write a little bit with all of them because these have different inks in them. So this one's a Scrivy, and I think it's got Wordsworth and black ink in it. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is. Actually, that's not an F nib. That's an EF nib. My bad. Alrighty, just because I have it just off camera, I also have the Amaxio here. Okay, far out, just writing on that. That hates that paper. Alright, and then I do have a couple of biros, so just the Bic Atlantis that I like. Okay, so if I'll zoom the camera in just so we can see what has and hasn't bled. Okay, so the gel liners, yeah, this paper is great for gel liners. So if you want to use gel liners, it does write quite nicely. There's no bleeding or feathering, though I don't think there typically is with gel liners anyway. If I turn the page over, there is some ghosting. You can see through with the darker inks. But that's not a surprise. Oh my goodness. That's the, you guys can't see this yet because I haven't got down to it. Anyway, you'll see it in a second. All right, so with the big felt tip pens, again, they write just fine. They look good on the paper. And if I turn it over, yeah, again, some ghosting. When we get down to the fountain pens, so that Amaxio, so far out. So I did a review on this pen a couple of weeks ago. I will link it. I did have a bit of trouble with the nib. I don't mind the pen. Let's just zoom back out a little bit. I quite like the pen, but after fixing the pen, it went from kind of like an F nib more to an M nib. Which is why I thought I'd test it just to see how much ink it puts down. But the ink that comes with it is the Amaxio brand ink that I don't know the origins of that ink. It's just in it was just in a Ziploc bag of cartridges. So that, wow. So these inks were fine, but this, far out, let's test that again. Let's just have another quick look. And if I do a scribble test, okay, so far we have Wordsworth and black ink, Lamy ink, and online brand ink. And then now for the Chinese ink. Whoa. Okay, so just don't use Amaxio brand ink in this journal. That takes forever to dry. Okay, I hadn't tried it. Now the reason that I hadn't tried that pen in this journal before is that my experience with fountain pens in this journal has not been great. Okay, so if we have a look, there's not too much bleeding there or feathering. It's not too bad, with the exception of this horrible Amaxio ink. If I turn it over, it doesn't look too bad, but the reason I'm not a fan of writing on this paper is because when I decided to set this up, you can see, so writing at the top here, that's all written in I think it was a Jinhao 88 nib with the green ink in it. So all of this, I started dating it and writing it up ahead, and whoops, all of this is with the fountain pen, numbering all of the months with a fountain pen. But what happened was that when I didn't get more than a kind of couple of weeks in, by the time I got up to about here, the pen clogged and it stopped working. And I hadn't had that happen on anything else, and I had to actually kind of pull it apart and give it a proper flush. So maybe I could try it with a different fountain pen and different ink. But yeah, I was so annoyed with this planner that the paper in it had kind of clogged the fountain pen, and that would have been just an F nib. So anyway, it's kind of use it at your own risk, but be aware that the ink does not dry quickly. Like if I did that test on some Rhodia, like I've actually got the notepad from when I did the Jinhao 80 test the other day, and you can actually see, like, there is just, that's the scribble test just here, and the ink dry test, the smudge test, it dries almost immediately on the Rhodia paper, where it takes a little bit longer on this. So yeah, just something to be aware of. Okay, so that was, hopefully by the time I edit this, short and sweet. What do I think? Do I think you should buy this planner? Look, for $10, I think it's probably a really decent planner, and I do really like the layout of it. Just if you must use fountain pens with it, be aware. It's one of those books that if they had this planner for even like for $20, so it had a more expensive paper in it, I'd probably pay the $20 because it's pretty good, and I'm just so fussy about how useful a planner's layout is. So yeah, look, I think this is a decent buy on sale. Especially if stuff is on sale regularly, never pay retail. All right, especially in like these high cost living times, never pay retail. Anyway, look, it's a thumbs up from me. And yeah, if you have this planner and you have some thoughts on it, or you have some things that you do or don't like about it that I haven't covered, let me know down in the comments. I love to read the comments, and I reply to as many as I can. Thank you very much for joining me here at Finger Thinking again today. Please like and subscribe this video. I really appreciate it when you do. I appreciate you even watching. So it's like an extra bonus when you like and subscribe. So thank you very much for that. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and have a great day.